Snapchat was really where I decided to build my brand, because of the idea to me that I think video is such a powerful medium, and Snapchat allows you to create video content and broadcast it and distribute it widely without a whole lot of technical skills or effort in terms of actually churning out video content. And so for me, Snapchat was very attractive because I'd always known that video content was going to be somewhere that I shined, because I really like speaking. I don't mind being on camera. But at the same time, you know, in order to make the kind of videos that I saw were expected for kind of the more YouTube style of the video marketing realm, it takes a lot more investment, and that wasn't something that I was prepared to do at the outset. And so Snapchat was very attractive to me. I also was just really paying attention to the social media landscape and saw that Snapchat was a place that I might be able to, you know, kind of come in as a person who didn't have a following going into Snapchat and start to build something that actually would carry me through to the next stage. And it's not that I don't think Snapchat's going to be part of that next stage. It's just that I am growing and expanding beyond that as well.
All right. Now, of course, you've also dabbled into you know, live streaming as well. Like you hosted your own Blab show as well, which at the time Blab was a thing beforehand. Yep. But how was that experience for you in using, like, you know those like Blab and, you know, live video, you know, to expand your brand in a sense?
I love it because I'm a natural communicator. I know that about myself. And so I like to put myself in situations where I get to have conversations with people. I mean, right now we're doing sort of more of an interview format, but I'd be just as happy to have, like, you know, an actual just genuine conversation too. Like that's the kind of interaction that I just prefer as a human being. And so for me, I loved Blab. We'll see what comes next. I'm not attached to Blab. I am attached to multi-window live streaming because I think that being able to broadcast a conversation to a wider audience is extremely powerful. You're able to get a lot of different sides. You're able to go deeper into any issue than perhaps live streaming as a single person. I do live stream. I'm working on kind of creating more regular schedule for that, or more regularity in my process for that, because I will admit I'm not the most active Periscoper at the moment, or I have not used Facebook Live personally, although that's what I'm heading toward next. But for me, it's the part of the reason why I haven't jumped on Facebook Live is because of the fact that although I mean, I can talk, I can definitely be in monologue, I prefer to have a dialogue between preferably multiple parties. One thing that I really made certain on my Blab show was that every show that I did had 3 guests, or 3 people, including me, so 2 guests, because I really like the fact that when you have 3 people, it avoids that interview format and it becomes a collaborative discussion naturally. And so that was something that I actively sought to do. Now that I'm kind of reworking the concept of what I was doing, by the way, it was called Snap Blab, was my Blab series, and it was all talking about Snapchat. And so it's still on YouTube. Obviously, if you're interested in the conversation, you can go check it out. But in terms of actually, you know, the next stage of what this Snapchat discussion, Snapchat marketing kind of conversation that I love to have, what that's going to look like. I don't know if it's going to end up being 2 or 3 people. I haven't quite decided yet. But yeah, I think that live stream is extremely powerful because it's participatory. And the fact that people can jump in, can contribute their perspective, can actually, you know, even if they're not necessarily jumping into the hot seat, they are able to jump in and kind of guide the conversation based on what they think and what their interests are. I think that is extremely attractive for people to come join. And it's also very interesting in terms of how it allows a conversation to naturally develop, which I really appreciate.
All right. Now, what's really interesting is that the fact that, like there's also like, live streaming is starting to grow even more now. And of course, like, I guess like also like, there's other like professionals, especially like for example, the Olympics is coming up this year. And I saw a stat that says that for the first time in history, that digital video is going to outperform television content, which is really interesting. So,
Yeah.
so what does that say for for anyone, like especially like small businesses who are thinking about using live streaming if they're on a tight budget per se?
I think live stream is the perfect solution for people that want to make video content without a whole lot of production budget or without a whole lot of time investment. And that's part of what makes it so attractive to people, is that it's very easy to just jump onto live stream in some ways in terms of resource investment. It's very hard to jump on live stream in other ways in terms of the having the confidence and the wherewithal to get in front of people that you may not know and speak and be able to respond to what happens and be able to be reactive to or non-reactive given the situation, to what comes your way when you're putting yourself out there in the world. And so I think we're living through a really important moment in time that I want to call attention to for small business owners, because there is a moment right now where live stream, which is extraordinarily easy to jump into, is gaining a disproportionate amount of attention. And it's something that is not going to last forever, because the fact that live stream is so easy to do means that this field is about to get very crowded. Very, very, very crowded, because every single person in the entire world is now going to have access to these tools, and already does actually for, the percentage of the world that has Facebook and a smartphone, which is, I think at this point about 1/6 of the world or so. That's an automatic broadcast platform already. And so I think this is a really important moment in time to pay attention to if you're looking for a way to share ideas, to promote a concept, promote even physical products. There's so many ways that you can use live stream to do it. The catch is that there's no faking it on live stream. You can't get on live stream and talk a big game about something that you don't know about without it being clear and obvious. And so as much as people might prop up their knowledge in a written context or in other various sales channels that they're using, live stream kind of makes it very clear who you are and what you have to offer. And so you have to come on to any live stream platform with a very strong certainty that what you have to offer is valuable, and that if you are able to express that to people in a clear manner, that you'll be able to actually make a difference in their lives. I think that helped me at least become more comfortable with the concept of live streaming. But obviously, nothing happens naturally until you practice it, right? And so every single person that gets on live stream for the first time finds it awkward. It's unavoidable. I would shudder to have anybody watch my first Snapchats. I mean, Snapchat not being live stream, but being similar. I didn't know about the download button back then, so I don't have them, which is probably a good thing, because I was very much testing it out. But, that's the beauty of, especially with Periscope, because it disappears too. It doesn't necessarily live forever. It allows you to kind of get that practice without necessarily having a bunch of people, find out exactly what's happening behind the scenes when you're getting started. But it's an interesting proposition. It's definitely shifting a lot of things in society.
All right. Now I gotta ask you this question. Now, who in your mind is killing it on social media, and why should sports organizations or businesses follow them?
Well, if you're gonna go sports, some obvious ones come up. First of all, Brian Fanzo, clearly. He is a huge sports fan, makes that very clear in his all of his stuff, whether it's live stream, Snapchat, he's huge on Twitter, etc. He's someone that I really look up to and really respect, because I like the heart that he puts into what he's doing. I like the fact that he comes from a very genuine place of wanting to help other people who are coming up in the social media scene figure out basically how they can use their time and their resources more effectively, which is always music to my ears. And then clearly Gary Vee is also someone who, as you may know, Gary Vaynerchuk, by the way, for people who don't follow him as closely as I do, he's just launched his own sports media agency. I think that's going to be really interesting to watch. It's called Vayner Sports, and I think that if anybody can revolutionize the way that publicity is done in sports, I think it's going to be Gary Vaynerchuk. And so that's someone that I'm keeping an eye on in that realm, and keeping an eye on him in many other realms too. But if we're going to talk in terms of sports, I think he is definitely one to watch at this point in time.
All right. Now I got to ask you this question because, speaking of publicity, you've been featured, you've done a lot of podcast interviews as well, but you were recently featured in Forbes twice for, based on, your lifestyle as a digital nomad. How can you share with us about how important was that for you? And in a sense, do you think that entrepreneurs who are just starting out should aim for the mass media like Forbes, or should they go out, for the niche media, which is not well known?
Well, to be clear, I didn't go out aiming for Forbes. That kind of fell into my lap through connections that I made. And so what I did was just constantly form friendships with people on a very genuine basis across social media and in real life. And that has provided me 100% of the opportunities that I've had. And part of the beauty of what I see of social media right now is that you can go out and create friendships with people who are at a different stage in their career than you are. Because, if you're coming with great value, great content, it doesn't matter to me or most people, especially in the Snapchat era, how many numbers you have next to your name. That doesn't matter to me. At least I can't speak for everyone, but that's part of why I love Snapchat so much, is that everybody's kind of on an equal playing field. It's not a follower kind of hierarchy system like maybe Twitter or Facebook pages are. And so that's really interesting to me. But in terms of the Forbes article, in terms of how big it was for me, I thought it was cool. But honestly, I feel like I have so much to give in my business and in my marketing strategy that as much as I always appreciate any kind of, any support that I get and all of the kind words that I receive from people about that, I also look forward to the day that I will be featured in Forbes because of all of these new business ventures that I'm starting. So I think it's just the beginning, and I appreciate it, and I am grateful, and I'm just looking forward to the next step and going to keep making friends with people because that's how everything's coming.